The biggest stories of the local, regional, and national news.
This is huge news.
It's time for Michigan Sports Talk Morning Show, broadcasting live all across the state of Michigan and Northwest Ohio. This is X's and Bros.
Swings it out to Sadiq Bey. Gets Benny to Abdul-Rahman at midcourt. Extra pass. And it goes for the win. The three-pointer by Jordan Poole. Here's the give. Walker. Jordan Walker. Touchdown. Spike.
Goff's got it. Back. Looks. Throws. Ends up.
Yes.
Caught. Touchdown Detroit Lions. They did it. Amon-Ra St. Brown in the receiving end.
Sends one to deep left center field. Back it goes, and that ball's out of here. A grand slam from Miguel Cabrera. He's got 2 goals. Larkin in on goal. Scores! His first career hat trick in his 7th season for Dylan Larkin.
Here's your host, Anthony Bellino.
Hey, Ryan.
Welcome in to X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network. Ryan Elke here. Full of technical difficulties right now, getting Anthony Bellino connected. Great day in sports. We have a champion that has been crowned, the Texas Rangers, in what will probably be the lowest World Series rated, which was all the people were worried about. No one will watch this. like you probably weren't going to watch anyway. Some people don't like baseball, especially when football's on. But if you watch Texas, they were great. I mean, Corey Seager, he was part of that big shortstop class that, you know, when Tigers fans were fighting over Carlos Correa or, hey, we got Javi Baez. No, Corey Seager's the one who did it. He's World Series MVP, second time in his career. One of 4 players in MLB history to land 2 World Series MVPs. It's him, Sandy Koufax, Reggie Jackson, and Bob Gibson. That's it. So, I mean, even in Texas also, they were the oldest franchise without a World Series. I think they started playing baseball in 1961. I think the next team up is the Brewers, the next oldest team to not win a World Series. So, I mean, it's a hell of an ending to baseball. So, in other news, you know, you saw the late article coming out that the Big Ten coaches got on a call urging, demanding that the Big Ten at least acknowledge what's going on with Michigan, because the Big Ten has not said a peep. So I think the Big Ten coaches were just like, hey, do you know this is happening?
They're afraid, Ryan. That's what it comes down to. Everyone is afraid.
I think they just like, hey, are you guys aware? Do you just know what's happening?
They have to. They literally have to be like, is anybody else watching? Right? I mean, that's what it's got to come down to. Is anybody else watching, reading, or paying attention to what is taking place? Because no one can say anything. What does anybody say?
Right. I think they're just like, hey, you haven't even said a statement. At least Michigan is given the no comment because they have to. They're not allowed to say anything. Because you always get the, we're aware, we're under investigation.
Yeah.
Like the Big Ten, if they weren't going to do anything, just say, like, hey, we're aware of what's going on at Michigan, and at this time we are, you know, we're not going to do anything, or, you know, we're going to let the investigation play out before we make any further comment.
Would that make, as a rival fan, would that make you feel better? Is that the right way to put that? Would it do anything for you if they did?
No, I don't care. I mean, you know how I felt about this. I thought it, like, at the beginning, like, this would be hilarious if it was just drunk fans DMing coaches, terrible video from the sidelines, and that's pretty much what this is. And then Connor Stallions being Dana Carvey master of disguise on Central sidelines, which everyone's painting it as Central as like, oh, they're compliant with U of M, you know, they're working together. It's like, I see it as Central as like, if there are sanctions and big crimes, you know, big punishments, then Central, they were the mole that exposed Michigan. But also, Central's going to be the one that's get hit hard with all the penalties, while Michigan gets away with the fine.
Yeah, and they can't do that. You know what I mean? Like,
no.
If the guy went rogue and weaseled onto that sideline on his own accord, right? That's what that looks like. Well, that's what like this one when he's there. I just can't imagine Jim Harbaugh signing off on that. That just seems like.
Could you imagine Jim Harbaugh doing the other things?
Can I imagine him saying, "Hey, like, find somebody to go to this game and film it for us"? I mean, yeah, I could see that.
Like, throughout the last year, there's been things where it's like, man, like, nothing's been ever awful, but it's like I thought Harbaugh had more control over this.
What kind of control do you speak of?
No, it's just starting with the Mozzie Smith hiding of that story.
Mm. Well, you had a good memory.
Didn't everyone thought Harbaugh was a little bit better than that?
Yeah, I think for the most part.
Yeah. So and then you have whatever this computer crime dude is. Then you have the Shemi Schembechler hire. And then you have this pop up. Like, I'm accusing kind of the recruiting thing because that was 3 years ago. They're just now kind of trying to figure out punishments for something 3 years ago. So I'm kind of just excusing that. That's just more of like, hey, we've kind of finished the investigation. Like, now we got to figure out punishment. But it's like, throughout the last year, I think a lot of people thought Harbaugh was better than this. But what if at the end of the day, he's just not?
Well, then we go into denial and say that we refuse to believe.
Go into denial. You guys have been stuck in denial for 2 weeks. You dug your heels in to denial, and you're like, hey, this is the best river we've ever seen.
We're setting sail straight for the Mediterranean.
We're so angry. We're digging our heels in. We're doing turbo tapes with Billy Blanks because we got to get some rage out.
It happens. It happens, and I feel like I have been forced by the people to take my new stance on the Michigan Connor Stallions thing, specifically because I felt so damned if I did, damned if I didn't, that now it's just like, all right, well, I might as well just go this route. At least this gets people to stop tweeting at my boss, so that's a plus. Coming up on today's program, the Pistons lose. Killian Hayes is the worst player that Detroit has. The worst player that Detroit has. He is the worst draft pick they have ever had. We will talk about that. The Pistons coughed one up last night. Josh Henschke will join us. Chris Wormley will join us. World Series champions have been crowned. Lot to get to. X's and Bros, Michigan Sports Network.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com. At MHSAA on Twitter and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive, boys and girls, high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
Save big on fuel with M-Perks. Earn points on your Meijer purchases in-store and online. Then use your points to claim a fuel reward and save up to $1 off per gallon of gas at Meijer. Claim your M-Perks fuel rewards on the Meijer app and ID at the pump to save. Plus, earn points for qualifying Meijer Express purchases and look for exclusive Meijer Express offers. Download the Meijer app to sign up or see Meijer.com to learn more. 10 cents to $1 off per gallon based on points earned. Exclusions apply. Not valid in Wisconsin. Max 30 gallons.
Huge here for Van Andel Institute Purple Community. Now, they're a grassroots fundraising network powered by the volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve health now and in the future. Learn more at purplecommunity.org. Coming up later today at 3, huge opinions on everything I want to talk about. It's the Huge Show at 3 on the Michigan Sports Network.
You're listening to Michigan's statewide morning show, X's and Bros, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
Welcome back here to X's and Bros. Michigan Sports Network. Golf season has just about officially come to a close. However, the beautiful Tullymore Golf Resort, Canadian Lakes, is still opening its doors to you because it's not just about golf there. They've got everything you need, the perfect space for your wedding, event, reception, or group outing. Perhaps maybe there's a retreat for your group. No better place to retreat to than Tullymore Golf Resort. 1 hour north of Grand Rapids, 30 minutes west of Mount Pleasant, smack dab in the middle of the state, so it's easy to get to no matter what direction you are coming from. Just visit TullymoreGolf.com, TullymoreGolf.com, or call 1-800-972-4837. That's 1-800-972-4837. Book your stay and play at Tullymore today. All right. Now, it is a Thirsty Thursday, and, everything works as of right now, so that's a positive. I'm just glad that everything turned on. A big thanks to Ryan and Ben for holding it down while I have a fit over here. Regardless of that, we need to have a grown-up come-to-Jesus moment here. That grown-up come-to-Jesus moment is something that when it first happened, I was upset about. And then when you have this continuous, dilly-dallying, the continuous playing out, you can make jokes, you can laugh about it, you can do all that good stuff. You could live in the past about who you should have drafted and where. You could do all of that. Then you get to a certain point where your team blows a massive lead and you are getting very, very limited production. And I've looked, folks. I've looked. This could be a really good opportunity. You know, he could come off the bench and he could be a real game changer and a stopper out there on defense. I'm looking for anything. I don't have to look anymore. Nobody has to look anymore. Killian Hayes does not need to play anymore for the Detroit Pistons. It didn't work. We watched this happen with Sekou Doumbouya. There are picks that aren't going to work out. Why are we holding on? Why? And all the little jokes and comments when he first got drafted, if you listen to this program way back when, and I was so aggravated that we didn't take Tyrese Halliburton. And you might have asked why. I know there are great international players. There are some great players out there. Giannis was 15th overall. Nikola Jokic was the 41st overall pick. Victor Wembanyama was the first overall pick. Luka Doncic was top 5. Right, there are great international players in this game as the game continues to grow and the world catches up with the United States in shooty hoops. I'm not worried about going international. If the guy who's playing international is on his, as an 18-year-old, right, I just became an adult in the eyes of American civilization. The guy is on the Olympic team, on the World Cup team, is dominating the adult league that he plays in. That's what happens. Those are guys that you go after, you go get, because they are 16, 17, 18 years old playing grown man basketball. They're playing with the adults and they're doing well on a world stage. That's awesome. Good for you. You don't take a guy and pick him from the second league in France with the 7th overall pick when you had a guy you could watch right here in America and have an easier time evaluating, a safer evaluation. Euros are still kind of flyers, right? We all saw Wemby. We all kind of know, so it's not a problem there. Finding a guy from France's second league bothers me and will continue to bother me. Now, I could get over the fact that we didn't draft Tyrese Halliburton and we picked Killian Hayes instead. I can get over that. What I can't get over is this constant idea that this guy's going to be anything in this MFing league and that he is going to be a player at the NBA level. He's not a contributor. Maybe he gives you 10 minutes off the bench and a breather. Get him off the court. Why is he starting? Why is he playing damn near 30 minutes a night? Like the other day, I tried to give him a compliment. I said, good shot, Killian. And somebody immediately responded to me. Why would you? Like, what? Good shot. I'm like, dude, I'm trying to find something to say nice about this guy. Get him off of the team or at least off of the floor. Because there hasn't been, we've been talking about stopping this car now for a while. Right? Dwayne Casey, now Monty, like we've been talking about stopping the car. Don't make me stop this car. There's no repercussion. Like the guy doesn't get benched. He plays 30 minutes a night. It doesn't matter if he makes shots or misses shots. It doesn't matter what he does. I'm not sure what the obsession is, but I wish I could find someone to believe in me the way that the Pistons organization believes in Killian Hayes. That's how you need to believe in your kids like this. In fact, maybe I take that back because I don't know if that does anything for him. Like this, just stop with it. Stop it. You have Marcus Sasser. Like, the young fella was dynamite last night. You have a great first half. You scored 59 points. You're up 59-47. 12-point lead. You're playing flawless basketball. At one point, I was tweeting out they had 14 assists on 18 made shots. We were cruising. And Killian Hayes had his 3 rebounds and his assist and his 3 steals and, was 0 for 6 from the field and 0 for 1 from the three-point line. Sasser came in, gave him 8 and 6 in 23 minutes, 8.6 assists with 4 steals and 3 rebounds. Bye. See you, Killian. Bye. Adios. That's it. We're done. And for all the Killian stans, as they like to get referred to on the internet, people that, just relentlessly defend the play of some people. I'll tell you who's next on this list, just for comparison's sake. Jamison Williams is next on this list. Like, that's the direction that is going right now. Just so that we're all aware of the magnitude of what's taking place. This isn't just like, oh, well, it didn't work. Like, no, it didn't work, and it was a top 10 pick. It was pick number 7, and it didn't work. That's a miss. A bad one. Is last night's game all Killian's fault? Well, no, not when your starting point guard's going to turn it over 6 times a game. Like, that's not going to help. But, I mean, hell, he scored 30 points. Like, where else are they getting that offense from? Jalen Duren not being available last night, that really hurts. Good to see Joe Harris out there, professional shooter. We got 2 of those now. That's a positive. Jaden Ivey, he was fine. Just a little lost defensively. But overall, 3 for 7, 10 points, 1 of 3 from 3. Like, get Hayes out, put Sasser in, put Ivey in, put anybody in. But let's just be done with it. If we could just be done with it, then everything else, I'm sure, will work out just fine. Just trade him. And for all the guys on the internet that constantly defend him like he's your dad, let it go. It didn't work. It's over. Goodbye. Pistons lose 110-101. Should not have lost that basketball game. They fall to 2-3. These are the ones you can't let slip away. I don't care if it's the second week of the season. You have to win games like that last night. They'll be on the road in New Orleans, 8 o'clock tonight. We'll step aside. Josh Henschke joins us next.
Bill Simonson here for my good friend Josh Garvey. Now, he is a managing shareholder at Br0's, soon to be Doran Mayhew at the end of the year. And with the merger, there is growth and a chance for you to fill an executive or other high-level finance-related roles, either at Br0 here in downtown Grand Rapids or over at the Dorn Mayhew World Headquarters in Troy, or at any of their offices across the country and around the world. They have a national specialized talent pool with ideal candidates for long-term placement, ongoing support for post-placement success. So if you're looking for that next chapter in your professional career, talk to Josh Garvey and the team at Bean Garter. Easiest way, you can call Bean Garter, ask for Josh Garvey, or go to their website, BEENEGARTR.com, or look for Bean Garter, soon to be Dorn Mayhew, on Facebook and on Twitter.
Imagine this, winning big at Soaring Eagle. It's a Black Friday free fall every week in November. Each week, nab the best deal around with drawings from 3 to 11 p.m. Every hour, 4 lucky players will win up to $1,000 premium play. Don't miss a moment of the excitement. It's Black Friday free fall. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Your getaway reimagined. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com for complete rules and details.
Roast Umber is a farm-direct coffee sourced from Central American farmers and roasted in Grand Rapids. And also the Nitro Cold Brew Coffee is a convenient and healthy option for energy with no sugar additives. Look for it at your local retailer or at roastumber.com. Coming up later today at 3, huge opinions on everything I want to talk about. It's the Huge Show at 3 on the Michigan Sports Network.
This is X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network.
Welcome back here to X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network. Ben Glaze, Ryan Elke, Anthony Bellino all join you. Join us now covering the maize and blue for the Michigan Rivals page. His name is Josh Henschke, good friend of the show. Find him on Twitter at Josh Henschke. Josh, my friend, good morning to you. How are you? How's life? How are things, partner?
Good morning. I'm good. How about yourself? It's been a minute.
And it's been a while. Every time somebody says that, it's all I can think of in my head. I don't even know who sings that song. Is it Nickelback? Is it Stained? I'm not really sure, but whoever sings it, that's how I feel, man. It's great to catch up with you. I feel a lot better about the topics we're about to discuss than most people on the internet. And the most recent saga, I saw that ESPN, the four-letter network, seemed to have they got everybody on the same page yesterday on Wednesday, because it was the story across the four-letter network, a picture of an alleged staffer for Central Michigan, at least on their sidelines, who might not have worked at Central Michigan, and then Jim McElwain going, we're trying to get to the bottom of this. And Josh, what do we know? What don't we know? Like, what in the absolute hell is going on right now?
Yeah, I'd also like to know that as well. That's kind of the big question I'm trying to find out. But, I mean, leading up to this, we had heard that there was going to be some sort of evidence of Connor Stalions being at the sidelines of the Central Michigan State game. I didn't expect it to be this level of stupid, to be honest with you, but yeah, man, it's just I don't even know really what to say about it at this point. I mean, I'm at the point where I'm just kind of waiting to see whether Central kind of confirms this or it's not going to be him, because my first reaction when looking at the very first screenshot that came out, that I thought that was Dylan Larkin in a hat and glasses.
Dylan Larkin.
But and then the more screenshots came out, I was like, yeah, maybe that could be him, maybe. And then now you're talking about a dude that would probably have to have a fake beard on and some sort of wig because he doesn't have hair. So I don't know. This whole thing is ridiculous, and it's just gotten to silly season stuff pretty quickly and out of control. So your guess basically at this point in terms of that Central Michigan stuff is as good as mine at this point.
It is quite a wild story. I just have a really hard time imagining that would be signed off on by Jim Harbaugh. Like, I think that, if depending on what he does or doesn't know about any of this and whatever the rule change in 2013 might have been and how they might have exploited a loophole in the rules. I look at it like the tax code, right? Those that can use the tax code effectively, they don't mind tax season. Other people, they fear Uncle Sam on April 15th, right? And it's just like, all right, how much knowledge do you know? What can you use to your advantage? How do you go about using it and lowering your actual taxable income number, right? That's what it comes down to. And so if you can find the loophole in the rules and you can use it to the best of your ability. I talked to one of my buddies who's a fan of that team south of the border, and he's like, I'll be more angry basically if they don't get penalized, because why weren't we doing this? Why is Michigan playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers? And I had a good chuckle out of it. Apparently people on the internet didn't think I was too funny, but to me, I just have a really hard time believing that Jim Harbaugh would sign off on go put on a Mr. Magoo type of outfit and infiltrate with a field pass another team's sidelines with some spy glasses. Like, I just don't see him saying this is a good idea.
Yeah, and it kind of really buys into the theory that this was kind of a solo project, so to speak, from Connor Stalions. Really, I mean, you're talking about a guy who allegedly has a manifesto and all this kind of stuff. You know, the more that comes out, in my opinion, the less it really implicates Michigan and more that it implicates Connor Stallions just being, you know, a wacko and doing this stuff and just kind of getting way too carried away with getting away with this kind of stuff and got too loose with it and which has led us to this point. And now it doesn't make it right, and you know it reflects poorly on Michigan, and so it should. But you know, the more that stuff that comes out, I just find it harder and harder to believe that, you know, this was a program directive more so, or it was not a program directive, more so a Connor Stallions directive trying to get a leg up and in his dream job, I guess, you know. So yeah, I mean, it's a wild story, and I feel like we've only gotten part of it, and I'm still waiting for, you know, the national stories to come out where it's really their Michigan's gotcha moment. But the more stuff that comes out, the less Michigan is distanced from it, and it's more squarely focused on just Connor Stallions. So I'm not sure which direction this is going to go, and you know, I don't know. I mean, it's a wild situation, and I'm not sure how this is going to end or what angle the NCAA is going to take. But yeah, just a lot of weird stuff that's out there right now.
Yeah, because the Central Michigan picture does make it look like rogue employee, where at first it's like, I can't really say rogue employee if the guy's standing next to all the coordinators with his, you know, 100 pages of paperwork going, you know, that to me, it's like, okay, this looks bad for the organization. But now he's on the sideline. I can't see it. There's something about the integrity of the game, respect for the game. You know, I compared it to you don't take an 8 on a par 5 and write down 4, right? There's just certain things you can't do. The golf gods will come and get you. And so I'm looking at all this. The college football playoff rankings come out on Tuesday night. They have Michigan ranked at 3rd. Some people see that as disrespect. I have absolutely no problem with Michigan ranked at 3rd. I could see why they ranked Ohio State at 1 with 2 top 10 victories, being Penn State and Notre Dame. And I could see Georgia at 2, even though I believe that if you are the champ, you hold the belt until you get beat. They haven't gotten beat. They're going for a historical, unprecedented 3rd consecutive national championship. Never been done in the AP poll era since 1934, whatever. So I think that they should still be number 1, but that's neither here nor there. The committee doesn't seem to have it, and this doesn't seem to affect them at all.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I was kind of expecting that, you know, that ranking at least 3rd or 4th coming out of this first rankings and stuff. And you know, really, I mean, if body of work and resume is solely what they're going on, I mean, you could also make an argument for 5th as well right now. But yeah, I mean, the way Michigan is playing too also has a major factor into maintaining that top 4 spot. But yeah, I mean, not at all surprised that Ohio State's number 1. You know, they have the best resume right now, and ultimately at the end of the day, that's not going to really matter towards the end of the season when, you know, you have to win all your games. You have to win out. And the same goes for Michigan too. You know, they've got a big month of November ahead, and they have to win out. And if they continue to win out, they'll be in. So that's really all that matters at this point. You know, the first rankings are what they are. You know, they're mainly talking points and obviously a starting point. But yeah, I mean, even heading into this thing, I wasn't thinking, oh, they were going to use you know, Michigan's NCAA investigation is fuel to kind of disrespect them or whatever. I thought Boo Corrigan. Boo Carter is a 2024 commit for Tennessee right now. Boo Corrigan is the CFP team. I'm all over the place.
I love it. That's how in the trenches Josh Henschke is with Amazing Blue Review on Rivals. He's got Boo Carter's stats in his brain. He can't shake him. It's Halloween. Everybody's saying boo.
Yeah. I thought Boo Corrigan's message on during his teleconference after the rankings release were really good, saying, you know, that just making sure that, hey, you know, these are just allegations right now. You know, we're focusing on body of work and football and not on that. So it was kind of really refreshing to see, even though a lot of people were trying to dig deeper into the Michigan situation when it comes to that rankings teleconference. But yeah, I mean, not a shock, and obviously, you know, with what Michigan's got left on the schedule and what's left to play for, you know, they win out, then, you know, these rankings will sort itself out. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be an interesting top four regardless, no matter where Michigan ends up, and Georgia included. But, yeah, I mean, it's kind of a weird situation where you could make an argument for Michigan being number one, and you could also make an argument for Michigan barely being in the top four. So, you know, that's kind of the thing about a committee that is based entirely on, you know, body of work and physical evidence, and not necessarily on, you know, writers across the country when it comes to the AP poll. So, you know, that's kind of, it's good in that way that there's two kind of differentiating things there. But yeah, I'm not shocked that they're number three.
Number 3 in the college football playoff rankings, number 2 in FPI, number 9 in strength of record, number 112 in strength of schedule, but number 1 in remaining strength of schedule. And what keeps them in the top 4, in my opinion, is the fact that they're number 1 in game control. They have lined up week after week after week, and they have absolutely beat the bloody hell out of everybody in front of them. I mean, they have given up, 17 points over the last 3 games at Minnesota, then at home against Indiana, and then the shutout on the road in East Lansing. Like, they aren't having that real lapse in judgment, or that lapse in juice, if you will, where they just show up and think that they're better on paper than the team across from them. They're showing up, and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, which is just beating the snot out of people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, they're you know, they're arguably taking care of business, but then some. I mean, you know, the fact that, you know, J.J. McCarthy hasn't played a full fourth quarter all year, and likely might not until next week, is just wild to think about. I mean, they're doing stuff that, you know, you don't see very often, and it's going to bode well for a team next year, especially just to look ahead. You know, just because of the sheer number of players they're going to lose after this year too. So it only bodes well for, you know, the younger guys that are getting these important snaps, you know, late in games. So. Yeah, you know, they're absolutely taking care of business, and, you know, I don't expect it to be smooth sailing from here on out, but, you know, that does, you know, really good things for a program who hasn't necessarily been healthy down the stretch, the last 2 years. So, you know, to have a healthy Blake Corum in November, and a healthy Donovan Edwards, and healthy everyone else is a big deal, because, you know, they didn't have Blake Corum last year towards the end of the year, and Donovan Edwards was banged up, and they had a bunch of other guys banged up too. So, you know, I think the bye week came at a good time from a football standpoint. I think from an NCAA investigation standpoint, I don't think it was probably a good time, because now you've got a whole week's worth of, or no, really 2 weeks worth of distractions leading up to a game on Saturday. But yeah, I mean, I think this team is too locked in to be distracted, and you know, they've got some key guys back. Khalil Mullins will likely be back on Saturday too. So, yeah, I mean, they're in a really good spot heading into November than they were even the last 2 years. So, you gotta really like where Michigan is heading into November, and obviously you gotta come out and win those games. That's the most important part.
Yeah, no, like Al Davis says, just win, baby. You win, and you're in. Like, there's no stopping it. I do find it interesting that the college football playoff rankings had Ohio State and Michigan both top 4, because we saw something very similar last year, Josh. And with that, Michigan beats Ohio State. Ohio State still got into the college football playoff. To me, this is the perfect year for the expanded playoff, because the field, it just seems wide open. I mean, they have Texas ranked ahead of Oklahoma. Texas beat Oklahoma on a neutral field. They played each other, and it's like, well, are we not worried about the wins? We're more worried about quote unquote quality losses. What? That's blasphemy. Just asinine out there. But it does kind of feel somewhat similar to last year. I don't think, however, 2 teams from the same conference get in this year. I think there's too much out there that the committee will want to kind of broaden their horizons and get 4 different representatives, if you will.
Yeah, I guess it just kind of depends how, you know, the chips fall. You know, maybe, you know, Florida State slips up in a championship game, kind of like what TCU did against Kansas State last year. I mean, obviously it didn't impact TCU in the long run. But, if someone slips up that's, right on the cusp of being a top 4 or as a top 4 team, I mean, you can make an argument that a one-loss team can make it. But, the way that Florida State's playing this year compared to the rest of the ACC is really, I don't expect them to have a slip up. So, I think, the best case scenario for the CFP is just everyone wins out and you've got a representative from 4 different conferences if that's the case. So, we'll see, obviously. Anything can happen, but, I think with the way everything's lined up, and even Michigan in particular, I think the Big Ten is going to be represented in the national championship game, regardless of who it is. And it's either going to be Michigan or Ohio State. There's no doubt about it in my mind. So, I just find it very, unless, 3 other teams kind of just really just bottom out here towards the end, I just don't see a scenario where, you're going to have multiple teams from the same conference in the championship game.
Last one here for you, Josh. What should scare the Michigan fan the most about Purdue? Probability versus possibility. Is it possible Purdue and the spoiler makers could do it? Sure. Is it probable? And no.
Yeah, I think the big thing is probably Purdue's tempo on offense. Michigan hasn't really faced a high tempo offense, and there is obviously the argument to be made for Russ heading into the game, because you've had essentially a week off, and then you're getting ready for this game, and I just don't see a situation where Michigan is just going to be totally off in this one. Maybe they have a slow start and Purdue can kind of jump on it, but I just don't see Purdue having the goods to get this one over the finish line in Ann Arbor. I just think this team is too locked in, and now you've added an NCAA investigation onto this thing, and now they kind of feel a little disrespected. I just don't see them, starting slow, kind of like a Indiana slow. I don't see that kind of thing happening. But a high tempo offense can get you if you're not on your P's and Q's, and you can be caught slipping, especially because they are a passing first offense. They're a pure spread air raid team through and through that really likes to go quick. So if you're not ready and on your assignments, you could get caught out. So anything can happen in a game of football, but I just don't see Purdue having the goods to upset Michigan.
He is Josh Henschke. What you can do is you can log on to the Maize and Blue Review, the Michigan Rivals page. You can swipe up and subscribe for his exclusive content. He's like an Instagram influence out there, folks. Hey, Josh Henschke on Twitter, at Josh Henschke. Man, we appreciate the time. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Of course, anytime.
NBA fans, the wait is over. Basketball is back with the DraftKings Sportsbook. I'm sorry if we all lost collectively. I'd say we, like I speak French, because I would never partake in such an event due to my contractual obligations with the teams that I work for. So let me just throw that out there right now. But we took a bad L last night against the Portland Trailblazers. However, that kind of L right there doesn't hurt you with DraftKings. Oh, no. No, it doesn't. New customers, you can put down $5 on the NBA and win or lose. It doesn't matter. All you have to do is sign up using the promo code HUGE, promo code HUGE only at DraftKings. So download the DraftKings app right now. New customers get $200 in bonus bets instantly for betting just $5 only on DraftKings Sportsbook, only using the promo code HUGE. The crown is yours. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, wants help, needs help, call the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services Gambling Disorder Helpline, 800-270-7117. 21 plus, Michigan only. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions to apply. See terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms. Hour 2 is next. X's and Bros, Michigan Sports Network.
It's a happy Thanksgiving when you get everything you need in one stop at Meijer. Save big on fresh and frozen turkeys. And for all your favorite sides, Meijer's got you covered. Like fresh green beans, delicious pumpkin pies from our bakery, and your perfect pairing in our wine aisle. Get everything for easy prep, too. From crock pots to serveware and food storage. Find a great selection and all the same great deals whether you shop Meijer in-store or online. Make it a happy Thanksgiving in one easy stop at Meijer.
Imagine this, winning big at Soaring Eagle. It's the Blaze Through Fall Jeep Giveaway every Saturday in November. 2 hourly winners, 5 to 10 p.m., take home a cool $500 cash. At 11 p.m. each night, one lucky guest wins a hot new Jeep Renegade or $15,000. The Blaze Through Fall Jeep Giveaway. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Your getaway reimagined. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com for complete rules and details.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
What are you looking for in a career? What are you looking for in your pursuit of happiness and satisfaction? Let's answer those questions by answering this one. What are you? If you're selfless, courageous, dedicated, disciplined, and humble, your happiness and satisfaction may be in a new career in law enforcement. Visit MichiganPoliceChiefs.org today or simply walk into your local police department and start the conversation. You may find the answer to all of your questions.
Huge here for Van Andel Institute Purple Community. Now, they're a grassroots fundraising network powered by the volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve health now and in the future. Learn more at purplecommunity.org.
Merck Perks from Mercantile Bank is here. Merck Perks checking has all you need to plan your busy lifestyle. Travel services for hotels, airfare, and cruises, cash back rewards, and even savings on prescriptions, eyewear, and dental work. Merck Perks also includes all the traditional benefits you love, like online and mobile banking, and fee-free access to almost 40,000 MoneyPass ATMs. So when you're ready for perks, Merck is here. Learn more at mymerckperks.com, member FDIC.
Coming up later today at 3, huge opinions on everything I want to talk about. It's the Huge Show at 3 on the Michigan Sports Network.
everyone. It's time for Michigan Sports Talk Morning Show, broadcasting live all across the state of Michigan and Northwest Ohio. This is X's and Bros.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It's a good morning. Wake up to a brand new day.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning, Vietnam!
Here's your host, Anthony Bellino.
Rise and shine, folks. Welcome back here. X's and Bros, Michigan Sports Network. Great to have you riding along with us, no matter who you are, where you are, how you may be listening all across the great state of Michigan and in Northwest Ohio and worldwide on the iHeartRadio app. From Traverse City down to the Glass City, GR to the Motor City, we say good morning to you. We welcome you. We thank you. We appreciate you. And, of course, we encourage you to join the program at any time. You can text the keyword Sports Radio. Send that to 21,000. Sports Radio to 21000. Myers Supercenter guest line, 866-838-4843, 866-838-4843. We're on Twitter at XB Mornings, Facebook, X's and Bros. And, of course, good morning to our television audience as well on BCSN and streaming live on our YouTube page at Michigan Sports Network. Added.com to that to find our website. XB Mornings at gmail.com is our fan feedback email inbox. And you can find us all individually on Twitter. Ryan Elke is at RyanL_Key. Ben Glaze is at the Ben Glaze. And I'm Anthony Bellino at AAC Bellino. All right. We got some text messages here, some comments on the YouTube I want to get to. But first, let's get you all caught up with all the happenings across the world of sports. We'll do so right now in the headlines.
Big news.
I have a little news flash.
Let's check the headlines.
No, it's real news for once.
The biggest stories of the local, regional, and national news.
This is huge news.
Huge news. Pistons blew a very winnable game against a Portland Trailblazers team. Now, I'm aware that Jalen Duren was not in the lineup last night, but no excuse after the lead that they had at halftime last night to let that thing go. Cade Cunningham catching a lot of flack here. I get the turnovers are a problem, but, dude, you're going to have to press when nobody else is doing anything. Flat out, point blank period. I'm not blaming the guy that got 30. All right, how about the guy who puts up a donut from the field and a pull-up jumper misses the rim entirely and hits the bottom right quadrant of the backboard? Like, that's something we see at the CYO level. Kid fires up a shot that just bricks off the backboard. You're a professional player, Killian. Act like it. Or better yet, let's give those minutes to Jaden Ivey. He's the fourth best player on this team. I really like Marcus Sasser a lot. Jaden Ivey is the fourth best prospect on this team. Give him those minutes and be done with it. You can tell I'm aggravated about that. But I'm aggravated for a multitude of reasons, and we'll get to that later. Mark Davis on the firings. The Raiders were headed in the wrong direction. Yeah, you typically don't fire anybody unless you are headed in the wrong direction. The crazy part is the number that I saw. Is it going to be $80 million plus John Gruden and Josh McDaniels? $80 million plus that they're going to have to pay those guys. Steelers activate defensive lineman Cam Hayward from IR for the matchup against the Titans. Speaking of those Titans in that game, Will Levis is going to get the start. The Titans have ruled out Ryan Tannehill. Is this Will Levis's time? Is he coming in mid-season injury? Is this an Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes, where Will Levis will be the one to lead the Titans to the glory land? Will it be him? Packers general manager said they need more time to evaluate quarterback Jordan Love. Just because you redshirted him doesn't mean it works. It doesn't mean that it works. And I'm not opposed to the idea. We've seen it be successful in a multitude of other organizations. We have some circumstantial evidence. Aaron Rodgers taking the torch from Brett Favre. Patrick Mahomes taking the torch from Alex Smith. Right? We've seen some things like that work. We've also seen rookies come in. Trevor Lawrence. Right? Get the right coach around him. The guy's going to be successful. There is no guarantee that just because you sat a guy, he is going to work. And in my honest opinion, I hope that it doesn't work for Green Bay. The Celtics put 155 points on the Pacers, second most in franchise history. 155 last night is what they scored, 155 to 104. I imagine that the overall, like, total points would have been somewhere in like 221, somewhere around that range. That's an over. The Western Hockey League is going to make the neck guard protection mandatory. Shout out to my guy Ken. Sent me a picture last night of his little man Chase, who plays youth hockey, and he actually has one of the Bauer shirts, like the soft armor. I didn't know those existed. I thought I came up with $1 million idea. It had already been produced. TJ Oshie actually has one too. And it also includes, I guess in Oshie's, it includes wrist protection as well, which, I mean, duh, right? I mean, that makes sense. But TJ Oshie doesn't even wear it. So, like, how do we get them? The Canadiens have sold a minority stake in their franchise at a record $2.5 billion valuation. Michael Andlauer, who bought the Ottawa Senators for $950 million in September, sold 10% of his minority interest in the Canadiens at a record $2.5 billion. That's crazy. The Molson family, which owns a controlling stake in the Canadiens, exercised their option of first right to buy Andlauer's stake. Oh, Molson Canadian. It makes sense. The NHL and the Players Association right now discussing safety after Adam Johnson's death in England. A really bad situation here. A freak accident, or could it, it didn't look like a freak accident to me. It looked intentional. But how does the conversation now, mandatory neck protection for the AHL and the ECHL, on the day that Johnson died, NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman called the Players Association Executive Director Marty Walsh, open up a conversation about additional cut-resistant protection for players. The NHL knows with all the positive juice they got going. I just gave the story about the Montreal Canadiens franchise valuation. That matters, right? The league has not had this much juice since the turn of the 21st century. A lot of positives going, not only from a health and safety perspective of the players, but from a business perspective. You cannot lose a player on the ice. So if it's wrist and neck protection, I don't understand what the big deal is. Put it in like a compression turtleneck and move on with your lives. Rather be safe than sorry. According to sources, Big Ten coaches are urging action versus Michigan in a phone call. I don't know. The commissioner, Tony Petitti, had some vast majority of Big Ten coaches who were expressing their frustrations with the ongoing signal stealing investigation. The call allegedly took 90 minutes, included nearly an hour, without Michigan coach Jim Harbaugh, who hung up after the regularly scheduled Big Ten business to allow the conference coaches to speak freely about the investigation. Huh. Pretty interesting. Now, the NCAA has been investigating Michigan for almost 2 weeks, as the Big Ten confirmed the NCAA sign-stealing investigation on October 19th. Since that time, ESPN has reported that Michigan staffer Connor Stalions emerged as a centerpiece of the investigation, purchased tickets to games in 12 of the 13 Big Ten opponents over the last 3 years. Now, yesterday felt, I'm going to call it what it is. And I need you to see the forest from the trees. This is not a conspiracy theory. This happens in everyday media. You should know that. And I'll give you a clear-cut example for us here on this program, so you know, like, this is how this works. I can't participate in sports gambling. That's why we have to use our afternoon show's promo code. And when I was asked about it, like, hey, we got to get you a promo code specifically for the morning show, I said no. The reason for that is I can tell you about gambling, and I can direct you to it, and I can read the disclaimer. I can do those things. I cannot participate or be branded in any way, shape, or form personally to sports betting. So that's why when I do a DraftKings read, we use the promo code HUGE. I'll be honest with you about that. I have no problem being upfront and telling you why things are the way that they are. I work for Michigan. I am going to have a little bit of a different opinion probably than most, but I try my best to walk that fine line where last week somebody's tweeting at my boss to have me fired, right? That's where I'm at. Yesterday, the four-letter network, who owns stakes in the SEC and the ACC, every single show, Stephen A. Smith. What is Stephen A. Smith took a break from getting out from underneath James Harden's jockstrap to talk about Jim Harbaugh? Why? Every single show, all day long, right after the college football playoff rankings came out? Because the Big Ten is in bed with who? Fox. Look at the big picture. It's one of the first things I thought about. I'm like, this story is ridiculous. But Michigan gets clicks. Michigan gets the ratings. They're going to play your audio. They're going to read your articles. That's what's going to happen. Legendary basketball coach Bobby Knight has passed away at the age of 83. I got some audio for you next year. X's and Bros, Michigan Sports Network.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
Save big on fuel with M-Perks. Earn points on your Meijer purchases in-store and online. Then use your points to claim a fuel reward and save up to $1 off per gallon of gas at Meijer. Claim your M-Perks fuel rewards in the Meijer app and ID at the pump to save. Plus, earn points for qualifying Meijer Express purchases and look for exclusive Meijer Express offers. Download the Meijer app to sign up or see Meijer.com to learn more. 10 cents to $1 off per gallon based on points earned. Exclusions apply. Not valid in Wisconsin. Max 30 gallons.
If you or your family is touched by autism, learn more about Freddy's Foundation at #PopTheTap at FreddyThePizzaman.com. That's FREDI, thepizzaman.com, or email FreddyThePizzaman@gmail.com.
Can't call in? Text us using the keyword sports radio and send it to 21000 or tweet us at XB Mornings. Now, back to X's and Bros with Anthony Bellino here on the Michigan Sports Network.
Welcome back here to X's and Bros, Michigan Sports Network. Golf season about to come to a close, folks, so I don't even know if you'll be able to get out there to even play at the beautiful Tullymore Golf Resort. But what you can do is you can start looking forward to 2024, or outside of 2024, you can actually start to take a little gander at what might be offered in the off-season there at Tullymore Golf Resort. If you're looking for the perfect space for your wedding event, reception, or group outing, visit TullymoreGolf.com, TullymoreGolf.com, or call 1-800-972-4837. That's 1-800-972-4837. Book your stay and play at Tullymore today. Texas trade A.J. Hinch and Riley Green for Bruce Bochy and enjoy a World Series title in 2024. Facts. That would require the Tigers to be healthy if they were going to do that. Just wait till the next loophole when Stallions dresses up as Ohio State's backup quarterback versus Michigan with a radio in his helmet to the Michigan sideline. That's pretty good. If Connor Stallions could dress up and play as Ohio State's quarterback and just throw the ball to Michigan, I think that would make it work easy. Has Ivy upped his defense? A little bit more intensity. We'll see about the overall production and productivity. There are still times with all young players, they do tend to get a little bit lost. But at that point, I don't care. Let's just outscore somebody. Could not agree more. He is absolutely difficult to watch. At this point, he must go. Brian on YouTube on Killian Hayes. Yeah. He could have went last year at this point. And, I just feel bad for all the knuckleheads that just went out there to defend him just because. Like, where was the proof of defense? I'm telling you, J-Mo's on the same track right now, folks. If we don't start to see something out of that young man, he is going to go down the same path. And this is a road we would much rather less travel. HBS on YouTube says, can we talk about how bad Bally is? The app is terrible and has been down. Couldn't watch the Pistons or the Wings recently. I have heard I heard some issues yesterday about the app and the streaming, and that people's streams were cut out and then they couldn't log on to the website or whatever. Look, I get it, man. I understand and feel your frustration. It's happened to me multiple times. I don't like the direction of internet stream services at all. I don't. And this just isn't me being old man yells at cloud. Like, I like the idea of turning on my television with a remote in my hand to hit guide and go through my channels. Do I wish I could put together my own custom package? Yeah, sure. But the nonstop having to sign into an account, waiting for it to buffer, the load screen, this, that, and the third, like. And if I'm Bally and Diamond Sports Group speaking openly and honestly about this, I want to be on, like, I have an LG Smart TV in my house, in my living room. The LG Smart TV can't do anything without a third party. Like, you need like a Roku or an Amazon Fire Stick or something like that, because LG has their own quote unquote TV, their streaming service. But unless you have, like, I can't go to the App Store on LG and download it to Bally Sports. It doesn't work. Why? I have no idea. I can't download the ESPN app on it. It doesn't make sense. It's a smart TV. Why would I not be able to do that? Like, all of these little technological glitches. Like, just hand me my remote and let me click guide and go from there. That's all I want. But if I'm Bally, I'm going to try to take one on the chin, and I want to be on LG. I want to be on Roku. If you have a television device that picks up the internet, I want to be on it. And I'm not looking for any upfront deal right now with a mass amount of money for some sort of television contract. I want to be on Spectrum. I want to be on Xfinity. I want to be on Buckeye. I want to be on AT&T. If you have a cable provider, I want to be on it. If you offer any sort of streaming service, I want to be on it. I'm not going to even charge you for it. Just get me on in as many homes as possible. Then we can make our money. Then we can figure it out. But I don't need any deal upright. And I think that's where they're, that's why, when they couldn't come to an agreement with Sinclair. How can you not give it to them? Just give it to them. Here's the channel. Take it. Our sales staff will do the rest. Done. Boom. I'll never understand that. The accessibility and exposure is worth more than an upfront on-paper deal. Period. It will always be that way. It will always be that way. I'm the same way about our show. The same way, you know how many conversations I've had with people like, hey, you can have it for free. You don't have to pay us. Just pick it up. Just throw it on the airwaves. Just pick us up. Put us out there. We'll figure out the rest. All right, I want to get to the World Series because that did take place last night. We have a World Series champion 52 seasons later, the Texas Rangers.
Third season. It's happened! The Texas Rangers win the World Series!
Bruce Bochy now with 4 World Series crowns. Congratulations to him. This is a big Bruce Bochy show. We like him. We like him a lot. He is now tied for 4th all-time with most World Series championships as a manager. Joe McCarthy and Casey Stengel are tied for 1st at 7 apiece. Connie Mack there in 3rd place with 5. And then Walter Alston, Bruce Bochy, Joe Torre, all tied with 4. And I think that with this victory, this is something that I think you can move Bochy ahead of Torre because Torre had a lot more going on payroll wise than Bochy. So I'll give it to Bruce.
I don't know where to start, man. I tell you what, I've seen some things, but what you guys did to do this is truly incredible, man. I'm just honored to ride with you to win 11 straight road wins to do this.
11 straight road wins. You can barely hear him. The audio isn't as good as it came through the first time. But you hear Bruce Bochy, and you hear all the champagne bottles. They're all popping in the background. A fun moment there. Corey Seager at a postseason for the ages. He is the World Series MVP. Hit .318 with 6 home runs, 12 RBI, a .451 OBP, and a 1.133 OPS. Corey Seager just out there mashing. And Max Scherzer, Adolis Garcia, it was, moments after the 5-0 victory that sealed the win for the Rangers. Like, what a cool moment that was. You just have a postseason that was pretty good. And I know that Rob Manfred and Tony Clark have been going back and forth about this because of, you have a 90-win Texas team taking on an 84-win Arizona team. What about the 100-win teams? Where's the advantage for winning your division? Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. If they want to, I don't know how you're going to go out fixing the playoffs now that the toothpaste is out of the tube with the amount of teams that you have. But Evaldi went 6 innings, 4 hits, no earned runs, walked 5, struck out 5 through 97 total pitches. Good for him. Good for Aroldis Chapman to come in, get a hold. Like it, they did it all on the road. Like, that's the crazy thing. You win the first game at home, that's cool. You lose the second, and then 1, 2, 3, all on the road. It's always a little bit more difficult when you win a championship on the road because you don't have that same home crowd feel. But good for the Rangers, man. Good for the Rangers. I'm happy for them. It was Seager and the Rangers 10 years, $325 million before the 2022 season, and you got to be able to spend money to make money. That's what it comes down with. He was the MVP of the 2020 World Series when he was with the LA Dodgers. He's just the 4th player to win multiple World Series MVP trophies since the award was first given out in 1955, joining Sandy Koufax, Bob Gibson, Reggie Jackson. He's only just the 2nd player to win the award for 2 different teams, along with Jackson, who won it with the Yankees and the A's. Like, he was simply sensational. And if you're the Diamondbacks, you made it that far. There's no guarantee you make it back, but celebration for the Rangers, and well-deserved. We'll step aside. Chris Wormley joins us next.
Bill Simonson here for my good friend Josh Garvey. Now, he is a managing shareholder at Bean Garter, soon to be Doran Mayhew at the end of the year. And with the merger, there is growth and a chance for you to fill an executive or other high-level finance-related roles, either at Bean Garter here in downtown Grand Rapids or over at the Dorn Mayhew World Headquarters in Troy, or at any of their offices across the country and around the world. They have a national specialized talent pool with ideal candidates for long-term placement, ongoing support for post-placement success. So if you're looking for that next chapter in your professional career, talk to Josh Garvey and the team at Bean Garter. Easiest way, you can call Bean Garter, ask for Josh Garvey, or go to their website, BEENEGARTR.com, or look for Bean Garter, soon to be Dorn Mayhew, on Facebook and on Twitter.
Friday, December 1st at Soaring Eagle Casino.
Single record of the year is Better Man.
The album of the year, Killin' Time.
Come on up again, Clint Black.
This Killin' Time.
Clint Black with special guest Josh Grayson. Tickets start at $40. On sale now at the box office and etix.com. Clint Black and Josh Grayson. Friday, December 1st at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Van Andel Institute Purple Community is a grassroots fundraising network powered by the dedicated volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve human health now and in the future. When you raise funds through the Van Andel Institute Purple Community, 100% of the proceeds go directly to the Institute's research into diseases like cancer and Parkinson's, as well as VAI's science education programs. Learn how you can get involved at purplecommunity.org.
This is X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network.
Welcome back here to X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network. Ben Glaze, Ryan Elke, Anthony Bellino, all joining you. Join us now. Typically, we do this on Wednesdays, but because I had a Monday Night Football game that threw my whole clock off and everything else, we're doing it on a Thursday. His name, Chris Wormley. Find him on Twitter at Chris_Wormley43. A Michigan alum, current Carolina Panther, back on the program. Chris, my man, good morning to you. How are you? How's life? How are things, partner?
Things are good. It was as far as the Panthers, the trade deadline kind of came and went, and for the most part, the team is still intact. Came off of a first win of the season, which was huge for morale after our bye week 2 Sundays ago. So we're looking to stack some wins.
Hey, just stack days and stack wins, right? That's all you can do. Have you guys at all discussed the Lions that began a couple years ago in Dan Campbell's first season, how they started off so rough? They started off 0-10, wound down the season going 3-13, winning 3 of their final 6 games. There was a lot of great carryover, a lot of positive momentum from those final 6 weeks of the season into Dan Campbell's second year with the club. And obviously we take the step and just barely miss the playoffs. And that bleeds into this year where we're going to win the Super Bowl, in case you didn't know. So, I mean, have you guys talked about that at all? Have the Lions been used as an example?
Yeah. So our D-line coach, Todd Walsh, was the D-line coach the last 2 years in Detroit. So he hasn't talked too much about that first season in Detroit, but the second season last year, he definitely was brought up. I think the Lions started 2-6 last year, and then rifled off a whole bunch of wins towards the end of the year. And we're kind of in that same boat. You know, if we get a win this week, we'll be 2-6 and have a two-game win streak. But we're looking, like I said, to stack some wins, using maybe a little, learn from previous mistakes or learn from previous seasons what the Lions did, and hopefully Coach Walsh can continue to give us some guidance on that, because we know we're a lot better than a 1-6 team. But we just have to go out there and show it each and every week.
You mentioned the trade deadline. What is that like from a player perspective? Because, you know, the civilians are all out there on the internet. We need to trade this guy for a bag of chips. And like everybody's playing Madden with the automatic trades go through. There's never any rebuttal of a trade. We're not worried about salary cap implications or contracts or anything of that nature. We see a big name player and we are like, I like to call them designer fans, right? They get wowed by the designer brand, right? They got to spend that check to get that Louis bag before they even get the money deposited in their account. You know what I'm talking about here. And it's like, guys, that's not how any of this works. First off, one, what are we willing to give up that another team is going to like that when we're going to swap players? 2, does it make sense for our salary cap and the current control that the organization may have under that player and their rights? 4, are they going to fit in the locker room? And 5, it's a human. Like you're telling a guy to pack his bags and move across the country or to wherever, uproot his family, do all this other stuff. Like at the end of the day, it's still a person that you are trying to trade away. And I feel like that aspect really gets lost.
Yeah, as someone who's been in, of the locker room the last 7 years of an NFL trade deadline, that's what I think about. I think about the guy that has to, maybe just signed with the team or has been with the team for a while, and all of a sudden, hey, it's Halloween. Kids are probably going trick or treating, but hey, we're gonna send you across the country. We're gonna send you to a different conference. We're gonna send you to a different division, and that really sucks because it's middle of the season. You kind of have your routine set the first month and a half of the season. You get comfortable with the guys, you get comfortable with the system and the play calling and kind of the flow of that organization's game plan week, and you got to kind of learn on the fly now when you go somewhere else. So my heart goes out to those guys that, and maybe they wanted to be traded, maybe they were looking for a new opportunity, which is great, but also at the same time, like it doesn't make it any easier. I got traded from Baltimore to Pittsburgh in 2020, but it was during the off season, and it was during COVID, so I got traded, and I was in Baltimore until kind of camp of 2020 when I had to go to Pittsburgh. So it wasn't that big. I mean, it was a big deal, don't get me wrong, but I can't imagine being traded middle of the season, having to kind of uproot your family and kind of go somewhere else. Whether you're single or not, it's got to be tough. Whether you wanted to get traded or you wanted to, stay with the team. So on a human level, it's tough, but if your fantasy points are gonna get a little more, or you're gonna win a few more fantasy games from a fan's perspective, I'm sure they're pretty pumped about it.
Yeah, and when your GM doesn't make the move for the guy that you really wanted, then they just cast that individual out to sea, and it's like, folks, you got to remember, these people have forgotten more about football than we're ever going to know. I mean, that's what they do for a living. We started a guy from William and Mary that we drafted in this past year's draft on the offensive line against the Raiders on Monday Night Football. I mean, come on, we didn't know anything about Colby Sorsdale. We had no idea who he was. I still don't even know who he is. A guy ran across my face. I didn't know who he was. I'm like, who the hell is that guy? He's starting for us? Like, okay, great. Where'd you find him? That guy who does this for a living does it. So I try to remind people that. It doesn't always work, Chris. I'm trying my hardest, though. I really am. All right, now to the Michigan Wolverines. They have their bye week, and we talked about like the positioning of the bye last week because, based upon where they think that they could go making a run for a national championship, this is basically the midway point of the season. However, the story surrounding Connor Stallions made this arguably the longest 2 weeks of everybody's life, right? I mean, it just is what it is. There was no game to talk about, and so that was the topic of conversation across the entire country in regards to the Michigan Wolverines. They will get Purdue at 7:30. By the way, night games. You playing them. I work in them. I had one on Monday night. I'm going to have another one on Saturday. I like 1 o'clock on a Sunday. I like noon on a Saturday. That's just my personal preference. What say you?
Yeah, 100%. Give me, in college, you get done with the game 3:30. For me, I lived right over the bridge on Stadium, right behind State Street. So I'd walk over the bridge and I'd be home by 4:15 and chill with the family, and then enjoy the college nightlife from about 5 to about 2:30 in the morning. Sunday 1 o'clock games even better. Get home by 5 and I'm in bed, watch the first half of the Sunday night game and call it a day. Even when you have an away game for a 1 o'clock game, you get back by 7 or 8. I can able to read books to the little ones and put them to bed before watching some of the Sunday night game. It's always nice to have, because the thing about night games in the NFL is it's a national televised game. So that, most NFL fans are going to be watching, tuning in. So if you can, turn up a little bit and have a great game, that's always fun. But 95% of the time, give me that 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock game all day.
Did you find it weird, the transition from enjoying the college nightlife until, the wee hours of the next morning into, now you're talking about, getting home in time to read books to the kids? Is that strange? Because when you said that, I took a step back and said, man, what a shift in gears that is.
Yeah, I mean, I had 3 football seasons to kind of NFL seasons to ease my way into fatherhood and to, transition into what I do with my time, after games. But yeah, I mean, looking back, obviously those memories were fantastic, and talking to, former teammates, we enjoyed ourselves. But now, I feel like I just turned 30 last week and getting a little older, need to protect the body, need to save the body as much as possible, extracurricular, liquids and staying out late doesn't do the body too well after a game nowadays. So I try and preserve that for the off seasons and enjoy my time after games for family time.
Is that something that's talked about a lot in NFL locker rooms, or is that just maybe something that we hyped up because we watched Playmakers when that was a show on ESPN in the early 2000s, and so we think it's all just madness and we hear the stories about the Cowboys? But life just seems so much more different in the age of social media. I feel like everybody's got to always be on their P's and Q's. But is that something that as a veteran you'll talk to some of the younger guys about when it in terms of hey, this is what we need to be doing as far as taking care of ourselves? Or is it just hey, these young guys, they got a little bit of money in their pocket now, they're feeling good, go have fun, we'll see you practice on Monday?
No, I think it's different for everybody. I think everyone's body reacts to a game differently. I think guys' bodies react to what they do with themselves after games differently. And I know for myself, for me to be able to perform each week, especially now that I'm trying to work my way back, I gotta have that in the back of my mind that hey, this is my job, and for me personally to perform my best, I need to not stay out as late, get good sleep, not drink alcohol, not put bad food in my body. And as a young guy, like that doesn't, at least for me, it didn't matter as much. And but now, like I said, now that I'm 30, I think about it a hell of a lot more than I did when I was 23, and definitely when I was 19 at Michigan. So everyone's body's different, but yeah, you kind of want to give guys, you know, a little advice on how to do it and what to do. And look, there's nothing wrong with enjoying yourselves especially after a victory. There's nothing wrong, but for me, like I said, my enjoyment is being in bed by 10 now.
Yeah, I don't hate that one bit. I don't mind staying in. I mean, you think it's bad at 30, wait till you get to my age. And then the wheels are falling off and my eyeballs are barely open. The other night after Monday Night Football, I got home at like 2 a.m. I'm trying to wake up. Ryan in the studio actually called me early just to make sure that I was awake. You know, this is the kind of support you need now at my age.
Friend.
Just knocking the dust off of it. All right, so you get Purdue tonight or on Saturday night, 7:30 NBC. You mentioned nationally televised game. Most people are going to be locked into this. Most all Michigan fans, but you'll get some casuals out there as well that'll be flipping between all of the games. Michigan got ranked number 3 in the college football playoff rankings. This, to me, is the last game that's kind of like, on the schedule, because then it's on the road at Penn State, on the road at Maryland, and at home against Ohio State. And maybe the most impressive thing for me, Chris, for this Michigan team is that even though we are better on paper than every single team we've played, they have come out and really handled business. Like, there has not been a lapse in judgment. There hasn't been a lapse in energy. Like, they're just going out there and they are just mollywopping people left and right and doing it the way that they're supposed to do. They're number 1 right now in the country in game control. I know that's big for you guys that, actually play the game. But for us nerds, we look at this stuff and go, man, game control. Wow, how about that, right? Like, they're beating people the way they're supposed to be beating them. And I kind of feel like that's what's going to happen on Saturday.
Yeah, I think like we've talked about in previous weeks, like they're playing extremely well complementary football. I don't know if that was the right phrase to use, but their offense is obviously controlling the game. They can basically score at will, especially these last couple of weeks. Their defense, I think, is ranked number 1 in total defense. Special teams is playing, solid ball as well. But when all 3 phases are kind of clicking like that, it's going to be really hard to beat the Wolverines. I expect the same thing this week, but then the next 3 weeks are kind of the big test. I think the number 3 spot in the college football playoffs is a little disrespectful. I get Georgia's back-to-back national championships, and I get Ohio State has beat a top 10 team in Penn State, but the way Michigan's won consistently over the last year, and also Big Ten champions last 2 years, and college football playoff, they went there back-to-back years. I think the 3 spot is a little insulting, but it's all really going to come down to those last 3 games. And obviously the Big Ten championship if they can get past Ohio State, the Saturday after Thanksgiving.
When I look at the committee rankings, like all I want, Chris, I just want set criteria. I want, just like in the NFL, you win your division and you're in, then you have your wild cards and you're in, and that's the tournament field, and there we go. I feel like this year is the perfect year for an expanded playoff because I think there's so many teams that on any given Saturday they're in that upper echelon that could give anybody a run for their money. I mean, Texas was ranked above Oklahoma, even though Oklahoma beat them head-to-head. Texas was ranked above Alabama, and Texas beat Alabama. So it's like I want to be done with the committees. I don't want people to tell me this is who looks like they're the best. Like, just tell me what it takes to get into the tournament, and then let's go play some playoff football.
Absolutely, and I think when it goes to that 12 or 16 team playoffs, it's going to feel a little more like the NFL playoffs, and it'll hopefully have and bring some clarity when it comes to who's in and who's out and who made it. And whoever's at that 5th spot this year, they're going to feel pretty salty. Maybe even the 6th or 7th spot this year. I know Alabama is a one-loss team, but they've been rolling pretty well these last couple of weeks. And if they make it to the SEC championship and beat Georgia, it's like, okay, is Georgia still in? Are they not in? And so there's just like that, I guess, the clarity of who's in and who's out for 4 spots gets a little tricky. So I'm excited for that 12 or 16 team playoffs whenever that. I think it might even be next year when it comes into play. So that'll be fun. That'll be interesting, and I think it'll bring a little more competitiveness, and it'll bring a little more. Teams that have been looking from the outside looking in the last handful of years are finally going to get their shot to kind of prove that, hey, we belong here as well.
So then with all of the controversy surrounding Michigan right now, and whatever you want to call it, controversy, the saga, the story, whatever, like to me, the best thing they could do is just go out there and just win. You just keep winning, and then it is what it is. Because the College Football Playoff Committee ranking them at 3 tells me, and they came out and said that they're really not worried about the storyline, anything off the field. They're only worried about the play on the field. The NCAA can't do anything for months. So it just keep winning and then figure it all out later.
Yeah, I mean, I think that has to be at least the players' mindset is like, hey, especially the seniors, like we have, 4 weeks to go plus the Big Ten championship. The NCAA is not going to come out with anything for at least, I would say, 2-3 months, which is going to be past the national championship game. Let's just go out there. Let's continue to dominate these teams like we have. And, if the committee holds true and they aren't looking at the outside factors and they're slowly looking at who, what Michigan has done on the field, then, they have every right to be in the national, championship and the playoffs, and hopefully the committee can see that. But I can also see the committee being like, okay, do we want this quote unquote scandal? Do we want this, alleged cheating scandal on the national stage, on the main stage for these two, for the semifinal game and then potentially the national championship game? I think that's a conversation that they're going to have internally. I think they're coming out right now and being pretty neutral with things and saying, oh, it doesn't matter. And the only thing that matters is what's on the field. But if people on that committee deem Michigan as cheating and have cheated with this, sign stealing and whatever Connor had manifesto, it's not going to look good. And maybe I think the committee's going to have to take a look at that, whether they want to or not.
He is Chris Wormley. Find him on Twitter at Chris_Wormley43. Find him in Carolina with the Panthers, and find him here on this very program, typically on Wednesdays, doing it on a Thursday. Chris, my friend, as always, partner, thank you so much for the time today, my man. We greatly appreciate it, and have a great weekend, my friend.
Yes, sir, and always go blue.
Always great to catch up with our guy, Chris Wormley, on the weekly. Love a good weekly with Worm. Weeklies with Worm. I like that. It's like Tuesdays with Maury. Hey, NBA fans, the wait is over. Basketball is back, unless you took a giant loss like we did last night with the Detroit Pistons taking on the Portland Trailblazers. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports city partner of the NBA, is celebrating with unbeatable offers. New customers can score $200 instantly in bonus bets for throwing down just $5 on the NBA. Win or lose, it doesn't matter. You'll start the season off with an instant victory. DraftKings parlays, everyone's got an even bigger bigger shot at bigger basketball wins, bigger basketballs. You got to use the big basketball. It's good training aid, right? The jumbo size one looks like a medicine ball. That's always good. The little kids can't get the ball above their head, though, and they got to shoot with it. String together multiple bets from the same game or build your own parlay across multiple games for a shot at making your payday even sweeter. Basketball is more fun when you're in on the action. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use the promo code HUGE. Promo code HUGE. New customers get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook, only using the promo code HUGE. The crown is yours. We'll step aside. Hour 3 is next. X's and Bros, Michigan Sports Network.
It's a happy Thanksgiving when you get everything you need in one stop at Meijer. Save big on fresh and frozen turkeys. And for all your favorite sides, Meijer's got you covered. Like fresh green beans, delicious pumpkin pies from our bakery, and your perfect pairing in our wine aisle. Get everything for easy prep, too. From crock pots to serveware and food storage. Find a great selection and all the same great deals whether you shop Meijer in-store or online. Make it a happy Thanksgiving in one easy stop at Meijer.
Imagine this, winning big at Soaring Eagle. Book your stay this fall in a luxurious first-class room and receive $50 premium play, a $20 spa credit, and a $25 dining credit. Rates are just $289 a night, Sunday through Thursday, and $339 on Fridays and Saturdays. Reserve your room now, only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Your getaway reimagined. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com for complete rules and details.
Huge here for my friends from Coppercraft Distillery. Now, they're a Michigan-based company, and they have a message for anybody 21 and up. You're going to want to get hooked up with this Honolulu Blue, a premium can cocktail. Vodka, blue raspberry lemonade, This special limited edition canned cocktail is available at local stores, pubs, and restaurants. And when you're cheering on our favorite pro football team, TDs, tailgates, and more, make sure you grab a Honolulu Blue from Coppercraft Distillery.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Roast Umber is a farm-direct coffee sourced from Central American farmers and roasted in Grand Rapids. And also the Nitro Cold Brew Coffee is a convenient and healthy option for energy with no sugar additives. Look for it at your local retailer or at roastumber.com.
Merck Perks from Mercantile Bank is here. Merck Perks checking has all you need to plan your busy lifestyle. Travel services for hotels, airfare, and cruises, cashback rewards, and even savings on prescriptions, eyewear, and dental work. Merck Perks also includes all the traditional benefits you love, like online and mobile banking, and fee-free access to almost 40,000 MoneyPass ATMs. So when you're ready for perks, Merck is here. Learn more at mymerckperks.com, member FDIC.
Later today at 3, it's the Huge Show, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
It's time for Michigan Sports Talk Morning Show, broadcasting live all across the state of Michigan and Northwest Ohio. This is X's and Bros.
Swings it out to Sadiq Bey. Gets Benny in the corner.
To Abdul-Rahman at midcourt. Extra pass. And it goes for the win. The three-pointer by Jordan Poole. Here's the give. Walker. Kenneth Walker. Touchdown. Smarty.
Goff's got it. Back. Looks. Throws. Ends up. Yes. Caught. Touchdown Detroit Lions. They did it. Amon-Ra St. Brown on the receiving end.
Sends one to deep left center field. Back it goes, and that ball's out of here. A grand slam from Miguel Cabrera. He's got 2 goals. Larkin in on goal. Scores! His first career hat trick in his 7th season for Dylan Larkin.
Here's your host, Anthony Bellino.
Rise and shine, folks. Welcome back here on a thirsty Thursday, the 2nd day of November 2023. You're on X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network. From Traverse City down to the Glass City, GR to the Motor City. We say good morning to you. We welcome you. We thank you. We appreciate you. And, of course, we encourage you to join the program at any time. Text the keyword Sports Radio and send that to 21,000 to join us on the Meijer Supercenter guest line, 866-838-4843. That's where we find our good buddy Lee Sterling, ParamountSports.com. Find him on Twitter at Paramount Sports. Lee, how are you this morning, my friend?
I'm great. I mean, all of our teams are looking good, so it's going to be a fun, I think, holiday season.
I'm really hoping so. I'm hoping that everybody, we have a really good potential here that we might go with the 4 major sports in Michigan all making the playoffs. Now, I've said that, and then the Pistons went and peed down their leg last night, and the Red Wings finally snapped a little bit of a losing streak. So we're working on it. But once Michigan wins the national championship and gets investigated by the NCAA after the fact, it's going to be great. I mean, we're going to do a clean house. Michigan State basketball, they're going to be on a roll this year. Like we might go 6 for 6.
What about baseball?
Well, I mean, the Tigers are going to win the Central next year. That much is for sure. I didn't know if you knew that, but I just looked at my crystal ball. That's what it told me.
Hey, who thought Texas? I didn't have Texas winning it all. I didn't have them making the playoffs before the year.
I mean, the Bruce Bochy effect, right? Is he the best manager in baseball history?
Excellent. I mean, he can turn mediocre into world champions.
And that's what we're looking for, because we have been stuck in mediocrity here for years. Speaking of mediocre, Iowa's offense, less than mediocre, but they're actually a favorite this week against Northwestern. Do the Wildcats have a chance to upset Iowa, getting 5?
Yeah. So I saw a video where another handicapper was talking about Northwestern playing at home. No, the game's in Wrigley Field. You got to know the venue before you start discussing the game. So I think the pressure is off now. We know that Brian Ferentz is not going to be there next year. I think this team is going to come to play. They do 2 things better than Northwestern: play defense and special teams. So they get a score from the special teams, or defense sets up the offense for, let's say, 10 points. I think they're on the way. I'm going to lay the spot, and it's about 5 points, and I think they win it by 6, 20-14.
Got to lay it if you want to play it. Nebraska, a 3-point favorite against Michigan State. I feel like we should be just smashing the Cornhuskers here.
Yeah, I mean, Michigan State's lost 6 straight games. I mean, they had one game where they played really well for like 3 quarters, and then all what broke loose here. So I just think that when I look at this game, Nebraska, I watched the film. Michigan State can't stop a mobile quarterback. That's a big, big problem here. So they've been outscored Michigan State 160-61. And Matt Rule, I think, pretty darn good coach. I think these kids, I think you're going to see maybe 65, 75% of the whole roster turnover at Michigan State when you get a new coach coming in. These kids talk about it here, and also Nebraska plays some pretty darn good defense, number 13 in total defense, as long as they don't face, like an Ohio State with someone who's elite. I don't think they're going to get burned here, so let's go with Nebraska here. I think they win another barn burner here, 20-10.
Wow, 20-10, 30 total points. I love that. All right, you have the Dolphins, your Miami Dolphins taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. This game should be a lot of fun for NFL fans. Yep. Chiefs are 2-point favorites. Will Taylor Swift be in attendance? I think that's what we want to know.
I don't think so. I mean, I'd be shocked. And look what he's done here, Travis Kelce, as without her, not the same. So we're going to take a look at some teams here that they could end up facing in the playoffs or maybe in the Super Bowl, the Lions. I mean, you can't say that's a stretch here. Dolphins' defense is improving. So for the first time entire season, they could have almost their entire defense back. Jalen Ramsey returned last game. Nice interception, almost a pick six. And slot cover corner Nick Needham, don't underestimate his return here. So I think it's going to give Kansas City some problems here offensively. At one point in the game last week, they had lost all five linemen. All five starting linemen were out. Now it looks like they'll have three of the five back here. And Miami, the two step-up games against Buffalo and the Eagles did not fare well. They lost by a combined 42 points. I don't think Kansas City is that physical type team here, and I think Miami's peaking. I think Kansas City's defense is good, and offense right now just isn't clicking here. Wrong team favored. The Dolphins upset Kansas City 34-30.
Boy, wouldn't that be something? Let's get a lot of production out of Tyreek Hill in that game. Seahawks and Ravens, this one's important. Here's two common opponents for the Detroit Lions. We've lost to both of these teams. We lose to people that have mobile quarterbacks or guys that won't just stand back there. The Ravens are 5-point favorites. This one's kind of surprising here.
Yeah, it moved up to 6 late last night, and it looks like it's staying there. A lot of people love Baltimore. Their defense is good, but Seattle's defense might be right there with them. So don't underestimate this defense. I think they have the best two cornerbacks maybe in the NFL right now. They added defensive tackle Leonard Williams from the Giants. That's a huge addition here. They've gone 5-1 since that opening week debacle against the Rams. Just don't think they knew what to expect in that game. And if Geno Smith can just play average or slightly above, I think the Seahawks can win the NFC West right now, given the 49ers' recent woes. And Smith just has amazing talent, skill-level talent, especially at the receiver position around him. And I don't think Baltimore's DBs are anything special. I think Baltimore's going to find a way to win. That's Lamar Jackson. They'll pin together a drive. He'll run and throw when he needs to last second. But 6 points is too much. Baltimore 20-17. But the Seahawks, they get the bacon.
Cowboys and Eagles. Eagles a field goal favorite. Is there a way that both teams can lose?
I don't like either yet. Maybe go to overtime, take a couple injuries. Now we don't wish for that, but the record will show that the Eagles are 7-1, best record in the NFL. If you look at the tape, they could easily be 4-4 here. So they even had an overtime win against the Commanders here. I like the way Dak Prescott's playing right now. Do I think he's going to win a Super Bowl? No, but their offensive line could be a full go for if 8-time Pro Bowl tackle Tyron Smith is able to play here in this game. He might be able, one of those guys that can neutralize Jalen Carter, who had to leave last week's game, had back pain. Also love their kicker. Special teams are important. Don't sleep on them. Brandon Aubrey tied an NFL record by opening his career going 18 for 18. And Jalen Hurts, I mean, putting up some nice passing numbers, and A.J. Brown is almost unguardable. But you can tell he's got that sore knee. He's not running around as much. He's limping a little bit. Dallas has won and covered 4 of the past 5 meetings here. That timing is right. How about them Cowboys? Dallas, 30-24.
That is the sum of all fears, because then it's just Dallas Cowboys 24/7 on the 4-letter network. That ain't good. Free play.
Come on. Detroit Lion Mania, I think, trumps it right now still.
I love Lion Mania. That's what I've been waiting my whole life for, Lion Mania League. All right, the free play this week, number 3, Michigan, 32-point favorites against Purdue. Can they cover that spread?
Is this line just out of just the stratosphere? Is it too high, or can they just keep rolling? You want to get the game for free? First 10 callers get it, 800-400-9741. First 10 callers will give Michigan and Purdue on me. We're on a roll now. And how about this? How about this special going tomorrow? We've identified 7 games in all 4 sports. 7 games, all 4 sports, just $17. How do you get it? You go right now, ParamountSports.com. Hop on board, give it a shot. Last week we had 8 for 17. We went 7 and 1. So 7 selections for Friday. Football, basketball, hockey, and UFC. Just $17. That's right. You heard me correct. Just one place, ParamountSports.com.
ParamountSports.com, on Twitter at Paramount Sports. His name, Lee Sterling. Lee, as always, an absolute pleasure, my friend. Have a great weekend. We'll touch base next week.
You too, Anthony. Have a great one, buddy.
Love that guy, Lee Sterling. We'll step aside. Back with more X's and Bros after this Michigan Sports Network.
It's time to go in the huddle. 1, 2, 3, top flight.
It's a new day to celebrate and be free. It's a new day full of action and excitement because it's a new day for winning only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. It's a new day. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com. Week 9 of the college football season was an electric one. Ohio State went on the road and beat their former head coach in Luke Fickell and the Wisconsin Badgers 24-10. Notre Dame rolled Pitt. Georgia stomped Florida. Florida State walked past Wake. Washington smoked Stanford, but there were some upsets as well, like number 6 undefeated Oklahoma losing on the road to Kansas by 5. Arizona upsetting Oregon State, just like the Ramblin' Wreck did to UNC. And how about Duke losing 23-0 to Louisville? USC needed 50 to beat Cal by just 1 point, 50-49. Absolute chaos. And boy, do we have some games this week. 7-1 Alabama hosting LSU. 8-0 Washington on the road at USC. And 8-0 Georgia hosting 7-1 Missouri for our games of the week.
Imagine this, winning big at Soaring Eagle. It's a Black Friday free fall every week in November. Each week, nab the best deal around with drawings from 3 to 11 p.m. Every hour, 4 lucky players will win up to $1,000 premium play. Don't miss a moment of the excitement. It's Black Friday free fall. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Your getaway reimagined. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com for complete rules and details.
You're listening to Michigan's statewide morning show, X's and Bros, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
Welcome back here to X's and Bros, Michigan Sports Network. Great to have you right along with us, no matter who you are, where you are, how you may be listening. A reminder, Tullymore Golf Resort, Canadian Lakes, Michigan is much more than just golf. It's got the perfect space for your wedding, event, reception, group outing, corporate outing. Get the business together, go on a retreat. No better place to do it. Canadian Lakes, Michigan, hour north of Grand Rapids, 30 minutes west of Mount Pleasant, smack dab in the middle of the state. Easy to get to no matter what direction you are coming from. So visit TullymoreGolf.com. That's TullymoreGolf.com. Or you can call 1-800-972-4837, 1-800-972-4837. No golf league yesterday, obviously, with the snow. I got a story for you coming up at 8:35 as well. Just bad. Just bad news bears. We got a text here. I'm to the point. It's Killian coming off the bench for defensive purposes only, but yesterday that game was lost for one reason, no Duran in terms of Jalen Duren. Jalen Duren not in the game. That's a franchise player. Jalen Duren is a franchise player. I believe the same can be said about Cade Cunningham. Now, I thought it was interesting the comment after the game about, spacing not affecting turnovers because I mean, look, I'm not going to try to challenge Monty Williams' knowledge here, and I don't know if he was just trying to buy a little reprieve for his guy, which I'm good if he does, and trying to stand up for him there. But spacing absolutely has an effect on turning the ball over. I mean, we saw it multiple times with Portland last night where the wrong cut can lead to drawing a secondary defender to the ball. Like, that's all it takes. Like, spacing is absolutely, it's especially in the NBA game. With the wider key and defensive 3 seconds, like you cannot have multiple guys standing within 5 feet of each other. It's just not going to work. It's not going to work at all. And, I look at last night's game, and that's frustrating because that's a throwaway. Like, that's a game you just threw that game away for no reason. No real reason whatsoever. It's unfortunate because those are games you got to win. Like, if this team is going to actually be as good as I hoped that they would be, this team has to win games against the Portland Trailblazers because, folks, these next few games are not going to be easy. Pelicans, Suns, Warriors, Bucks, Sixers. That's your next 5. That takes us all the way to next Friday. Luckily, you could try to wash the taste out of your mouth tonight, but I'm outspoken about this. That the drafting of Killian Hayes over Tyrese Halliburton at this point, that's an awful slot. Is he the worst player in Detroit? I saw somebody else bring that up on Twitter. I don't know if it's Jim Costa or who it was that brought that up. But is he the worst player in Detroit? Somebody responded with like Austin Meadows. Austin Meadows isn't playing. Austin Meadows doesn't play. So it's tough to get a beat on somebody if they don't even play. But what is the, who is, like, the guy's a first-round pick. And I'm drawing a parallel and a comparison here to another first-round pick. Now, I think that after last week's game, everybody can, on Monday Night Football national stage, Jahmyr Gibbs outgaining the entire Las Vegas franchise. I think that we're okay on the Jahmyr Gibbs pick. I think people see now what the staff saw. And if David Montgomery is healthy, we probably, I know for a fact, we're not going to see as much Jahmyr Gibbs. But the fact that he's been able to run between the tackles, catch it out of the backfield, like been able to do some different things there, show his versatility, and even though with his size, still be able to carry that football in the A and B gap there is pretty impressive. So we're good with Jahmyr Gibbs. Jack Campbell getting the start. I think we're good there. Sam Laporta, we're good there. Penei Sewell, obviously. Aiden Hutchinson, obviously. Who's the outlying first-round pick here? It's Jamison Williams. If you take a shot on a guy like Levi Onwuzurike and he just can't ever get healthy to play, then I'm okay with that. Because, okay, you missed on Levi Onwuzurike, but you hit an absolute grand salami on Amon-Ra St. Brown. 4th-round selection, franchise player. Right? Penei Sewell, Aiden Hutchinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jack Campbell. need to see more out of Jack Campbell. I'm not going to put him on the same pedestal as Sewell and as Hutchinson, but you could put Laporta in there. Absolutely. Like they have dialed this thing in from a draft selection process, and it has been quite impressive. So, but I look at Jameson Williams, and he's on the Killian Hayes pathway here of like, dude, you better get your house in order, or we're gonna have some issues here. All right, here's the other thing. I saw Tim Brando tweet this out. He said, quote, anyone watching this Michigan scandal should be able to see the media's manipulation of this with its recent stories out this morning. Let me begin with the soliloquy with understanding that anonymous sources have forever been a part of journalism. How information is gathered is of no consequence to me. However, context is also important, and it's clear Big Ten coaches and most others are upset over perceived competitive advantages Jim Harbaugh is alleged to have had this season. We get it. They're baiting new commissioner Tony Petitti to act on his own without Michigan having received a notice of allegation, which starts a 90-day clock for the university to legally respond. This is called due process. But remember, this isn't a court of law. So if the commissioner wishes to acquiesce its jurisdiction. Now, to context, in 2010, a mountain of evidence over what was then allegations of illegal payments made to Cam Newton had Auburn in a similar position. Then commissioner, the late, great Mike Slive, a former judge, was masterful in working through and around the NCAA, and despite calls for Auburn's Cam Newton to be ruled ineligible, mattered not. This, while not an issue of competitive advantage, was a tawdry story that many within the SEC were irate over, but history will show the Tigers were national champions that year. Without Slive's background and sincere due diligence, that situation could have easily blown their chances. It was a different time, but Big Ten coaches need to understand that Petitti doesn't work for them. He serves at the pleasure of the presidents of the Big Ten institutions. The media can keep its NCAA back-channeling of leaks alive through November and effectively ignore the most enjoyable part of the college football season, and I suspect they will. It's my opinion it won't change a thing. Commissioners do need to use this as an example of how the further they get away from the NCAA, the better. And the quicker they take control of governance of college football, the sooner the sport's image and day-to-day operation will improve. I saw that Sam Block, God bless him, he works for ESPN. He's an Ohio State alum. He said, I'd be shocked if Michigan is given the opportunity to play in the Big Ten championship this season or compete in the college football playoff this season. I'd also be shocked if Jim Harbaugh is still the head coach of Michigan by January. Like, it's this is what we do. So let me take my team out of it, right? Let me take my team out of the situation. We are so quick to jump to conclusions. So quick. And in the court of public opinion, Michigan is already guilty. It's the number one story in college football. Michigan is already guilty in the court of public opinion. And to the Twitterverse and everything else, like that's where it stands. And for me, I look at the danger of almost like dogpiling on a story. That's what we do. You'll notice certain topics will be discussed and everybody will hop on the bandwagon because it's the popular thing to do. We saw it in the most recent conflict, right? Everyone's immediately on the bandwagon. They've joined this side. They stand for this. They stand for that. They're this strong. They're that strong. Whatever. But they don't really have any context, historical reference, or knowledge about the topic whatsoever. It's just the popular thing to do. So they do it. The same thing happens with this story. You're literally watching it take place. It was all ESPN could talk about yesterday. Show after show on the entire network was Michigan and Jim Harbaugh. And Paul Feinbaum screaming A. Smith. I can't believe Screaming A got out from underneath James Harden's jockstrap in order to talk about that story. But it's the popular thing to do. We'll step aside, back with more X's and Bros. I got a story for you next here, Michigan Sports Network.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archived boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
Save big on fuel with M-Perks. Earn points on your Meijer purchases in-store and online. Then use your points to claim a fuel reward and save up to $1 off per gallon of gas at Meijer. Claim your M-Perks fuel rewards in the Meijer app and ID at the pump to save. Plus, earn points for qualifying Meijer Express purchases and look for exclusive Meijer Express offers. Download the Meijer app to sign up or see Meijer.com to learn more. 10 cents to $1 off per gallon based on points earned. Exclusions apply. Not valid in Wisconsin. Max 30 gallons.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at FreddieThePizzaMan.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit FreddieThePizzaMan.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDIThePizzaMan.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Miss any of today's show? Find our podcast and listen on demand on Google, Apple, Spotify, the iHeartRadio app, or wherever you get your podcasts. Now, back to X's and Bros with Anthony Bellino, here on the Michigan Sports Network.
Welcome back here to X's and Bros, Michigan Sports Network. Great to have you ride along with us, no matter who you are, where you are, how you may be listening. NBA fans, the wait is over. Basketball is back tonight, too. Pistons taking on the Pelicans on the road in the Big Easy, New Orleans, Louisiana. An official sports betting partner of the NBA, DraftKings, is celebrating with unbeatable offers right now. New customers, all you new folks out there, $200 instantly in bonus bets for throwing down just 5 on the NBA. Win or lose, it doesn't matter. That's right. You'll get the season started off the right way with a victory, which is what the Pistons need. Basketball is more fun when you're in on the action. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use the promo code HUGE, promo code HUGE. New customers can get $200 in bonus bets instantly for betting just $5 only on DraftKings Sportsbook, only using the promo code HUGE. The crown is yours. Now, if you or somebody who knows a gambling problem, wants help, needs help, call the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services Gambling Disorder Helpline, 800-270-7117. 21 plus, Michigan only. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions will apply. See terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms. I was having a conversation last night because I made an error last night. First time it's happened. My biggest fear for my life is oversleeping. That is the biggest fear that I have. It happens from time to time. I have done it one time for a game that I was working. One time. And by oversleeping, I mean, I still made it there by, opening lineups, and I just missed the pregame announcements. It was a Michigan game years ago. It was a Saturday morning, maybe a noon tip. I had overslept. By the time I got my suit, shirt, tie, I hit the road. I was trying to bob and weave in traffic, and it's this is a mess right now. But I always say this on the program when it comes down to players. Availability is an ability, right? And for the last half of my life, I have been being paid by Division I universities because of employment, right? And that is worked itself into the professional ranks as well, both in the minor leagues and in the majors. And there is, availability is an ability. You have to be there. And we had Monday Night Football on Monday. I get there at about 2 o'clock. We have the tailgate thing going on, and then we get into the football game. And I got home at about 2 a.m., and Ryan had called me Tuesday morning, God bless him, just to make sure. He's like, "Hey, are you awake?" I'm like, yeah, I'm up. I am awake. I'll be firing the equipment up here shortly. But we had that game, and then you get through Tuesday. Going into yesterday's program, I was up really early yesterday morning. I was up at about 4 because I had to make sure that I had plenty of time. The roads were getting a little dicey, so I woke up extra early to hit the road to make sure that I could get from point A to point B and be there on time. Go through the workday, come home, and I do a Michigan Zoom call every Monday night, but because of Monday Night Football, that got moved to yesterday. So we were trying to coordinate that at 7 o'clock, and then I'm trying to talk to Josh Henschke and Chris Wormley and get today's program all squared away, and racing around like a chicken with my head cut off because it's that time of year. I have a basketball game tonight in Ann Arbor, Michigan women tonight. I have a basketball game tomorrow night in Ann Arbor, Michigan men. And then I'll be right back in Ann Arbor on Saturday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday for Michigan football taking on Purdue, 7:30. So 7 o'clock, 7:30. Sunday I have off, thank God, for the bye week. And I say off, but you're never off, right? Because there's always something on. You have to. This job, you don't really get off days. You can't really ever turn it off. You go out at night, and if a team is playing and you want to go out and you go somewhere, you're either going to try to rewatch the game at a later point, or you're going to be paying attention to what's going on the television, at least glancing over time to time. I try not to check my phone when I'm out and about like that, but especially if I'm sitting down for dinner, that's just a no-fly zone. If I'm sitting down for dinner, my phone is in my pocket and I don't give a damn what's going on television. Because part of it is you got to be able to have some semblance of a life. So I remember what had happened was I missed an event last night. I was scheduled to host an event last night that I missed. I got a call from the coach at about 6:50, like, hey, are you here? And when I saw her name pop up on my phone, when I tell you my heart sunk, because I knew it, I was like, dude, I couldn't get ready and get there in 5 minutes. Like, it's not going to happen. Luckily, there is a local newscaster who also kind of hosts the event with me every year. I haven't missed it in God knows how many years. And she was like, I'll just have, Chris Peterson. Love Chris Peterson. She's a wonderful lady. She's like, I'll have Chris do it. Don't worry, blah, blah, blah. And I just felt terrible. And I look back at like the last, I don't know, decade, give or take, of just trying to, and the coach had texted me this morning, and we had a good conversation. I was like, look, it was the fourth quarter. We just came out of a timeout. There's 15 seconds left on the clock. We're down 1. I forgot the play, caught the ball, dribbled it off my foot. We lost the game. That's my synopsis of what happened yesterday. And, she got a good kick out of that. So, that's all fine and dandy, and had some nice words for me to make me feel a little bit better. But, I told you I was going to do something, that I was going to be somewhere at a specific time, and I didn't do it. And I felt bad about it. And when the COVID year happened, I was working for the Lions, University of Michigan men's and women's basketball, University of Toledo football, men's and women's basketball, doing Friday nights on BCSN, the Toledo Walleye and the Toledo Mud Hens, hosting morning radio and working at the grocery store. The most events and anything that I do where I'm paid to show up and, like, quote unquote, perform or do whatever, like any live event like that, the most I've done in one season is like 192. So that's 192 events that year. That could be a live game, could be a speaking engagement, could be anything, right? That's not actually like clocked in for radio or at the grocery store, trying to help the family out when I can, like that type of deal. And so after the COVID year, I was like, you know what? It's summertime. I'm working every day at the store, but afterwards, there's other things I want to do with life. And so I stepped away from minor league hockey and minor league baseball. And I'll go back and help out if the Tigers need me, but the baseball season, that's just not for me. I know it. It's just not for me. The first go around, when I was, the PA position was available, so the voice of Comerica Park, basically, I just straight told him, like, that belongs to somebody who loves this game, and that ain't me. So I appreciate the opportunity. I'm sorry if I wasted anybody's time, but that's just not me. If you need me, I'm more than willing to help out for a series or a game. You just let me know what you need. I'll be there, but that ain't me. And so you think about, like, all right, so, at my age, I get comments a lot where people are like, oh, you don't have a wife, you don't have kids. When exactly was I supposed to do that? How do you go about building or cultivating a relationship? Because this year I stepped away from Friday nights on BCSN. My mother was not happy about that. When I left the Toledo Walleye and the Toledo Mud Hens, my mother was not happy about that. Because she enjoys when people walk into the grocery store and tell her, like, oh my God, I saw your son, right? She loves that. She gets such a kick out of it. It's great. Love her to death. There's only so many places I can be at one time. And it's to the point of the year right now where, shout out to Meredith. She's going to do her first season at the University of Michigan as the game day director, and she's going to be in charge of women's basketball. That's going to be her sport. And she's a little nervous because the guy who was running it took a job with the Motor City Cruise and Detroit Pistons. So shout out to my buddy Nate. Nasty Nate. And I was like, man, how happy are you not to have to work like a swimming meet on a Saturday morning at 8 a.m. And he smiled. Or like a lacrosse game or something like that. So, my mother, like I said, my mother got upset when I was leaving these things. And, people are, I bring up the people that ask you, like, oh, you're not married. Like, when was I supposed to have, like, some semblance of a personal life when it's a Friday night, we have a 7 o'clock tip-off in Ann Arbor. If anybody's getting together, any one of my friends, and most people know, like, once football season happens, don't ask me to do anything because I can't do anything. There is no social life, really. Like, that just doesn't necessarily exist. Because the normal people in a normal 40-hour work week will use Monday through Friday, for example, unless you're a small business owner, and then it's completely different for you, and I understand. But the normal person works a 40-hour work week, give or take. Monday through Friday, done by 5, maybe 6. they have Saturday and Sunday where they're basically free and clear. Those are your 2 days to get done whatever you want to get done or do whatever you want to do. Obviously, if you have a family, you have kids, that drastically changes things as well. But that just doesn't exist. Like the Monday through Friday, that's 260 days out of the year, right? 52 weeks, 5 days a week. That's 260 days. The 1 year where I had 192 events, like think about that, right? And those are nights and weekends. And a lot of times multiple games in the same day. When I was just doing Toledo, we'd have like a noon and a 2:30 doubleheader for hoops, and then I would drive over to the hockey arena because it wasn't that far away. They knew I was coming from basketball. So you do 2 basketball games, do a hockey, boom, that's your Saturday. Try to go out Saturday night after the hockey game because downtown might be buzzing because at the end of the day, you just want to step out and have a drink and socialize with somebody. Like somebody that you want to actually socialize with, not like you're in a public space and have to carry on 15 million different conversations with X amount of people, which I'm not complaining about that. I absolutely love those, but you want to be able to see your friends too. That cuts into, your availability to kind of bounce around. Like I didn't go on a vacation in 2023. I did not have a stretch of days where I was not working and where I went somewhere and did like anywhere that I went, I took my radio equipment with me. Like we just weren't, we were going through, we had stuff going on. Like it wasn't going to be feasible. Right. Even when I went down to Florida, I worked from there. I just took my stuff. I was like, work from home. I'll take this to a whole new level. I'll go work somewhere else. But there wasn't that like, hey, take 3 days off and don't do anything. Like that just doesn't exist. And so I say all of that as I was just so angry last night that I missed this event. It's a great event. Plus, I get all the food and drinks that you could want. It's the buffet style, like all these different restaurants come in and they set up all this food and you can drink as much as you want. It's great. I love that event. You get to see a lot of people. It's a lot of fun. I just felt terrible about it. But it's that time of year now where I gave you a little glimpse, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, off Sunday, boom, right back to it on Monday. And every day at 9 o'clock, my mom is going to call me. Every day, 9:04. If it's after 9:04, something must have happened that distracted her. She's going to call me, what time are you going to be here? It happens every day. It is the most stressful and stress-inducing phone call that you can imagine because it's every day. It never stops. And then, because I have a half an hour commute to get to where I'm going, I get there, and it's like, well, what took you so long? Well, what do you think took me so long? You guys all live 3 minutes away from the store. Like, you're 2 miles away. You should be able to get here quickly. It doesn't work like that for me. Like, and so you try to balance, you try to juggle all of this stuff all of the time. And, like, you get to a certain point where it's like, for the love of God, like, yo, when are you going to have a little bit of leeway, a little bit of space? And the minute you try to do that, it's like, bro, you got to get up at 4 a.m. to drive back. Like that, you got that little sliver, that little 8-hour window of some semblance of quote unquote free time where you're watching a game and paying attention and trying to get the show rundown all squared away so that Ryan knows what's going to be happening on the screen and everything else. It's like, dude, it never ends. It sounds like I'm complaining, which I'm really not trying to push that complaint off to you. But I put a tweet out last night that it's that time of year. Like, I need to be aware of what day it is and what time it is and what that schedule looks like because I'm old school. I have the old calendars. Every team gets a different color pen. You write it all out. Then you go through your conflicts of who's where and what. I haven't even got my Red Wings schedule yet. Like, I have no idea. They're like, yeah, you're hired. We'll get you paperwork and get your schedule. Like, okay, cool. Now what do? We just sit in a holding pattern, right? And so, like, that's why when the Michigan story comes up and everybody's losing their mind because they got nothing else to do. They've got nothing else to do. It consumes them. Whether you're for it or against it, it's consuming you. And I see these folks on the internet, and I'm like, how in the world, how do you people do this all day? How do you do this? Like, I work in sports media, and I can't do this all day. Like, you guys got to find a hobby or find something, get another job. I don't know what to tell you. There's no way. No way. Like, I'm not doing somebody summarize the NCAA rules for me and write it out plain and simple. I'm not doing that. It's not going to happen. I ain't got time for that. You're not working Monday Night Football. You know what I mean? You have 2 basketball games and a football game in the next 3 days. Like, you're not doing it. Like, stop it. I'm not doing that. Find the synopsis, write it out. I'll read it as long as it isn't 14 pages, and we'll move on from there. But I was so mad last night. And the thing that really bothers me about it is the person that I let down. That's what bothers me. Because you said you're going to be somewhere and you're going to do something, then you weren't there and you didn't do it. That's bad enough as it is. And that's what I had tweeted about last night. And I appreciate all the kind words from everybody talking about mental health and you need to, take some time. There's no time. There's no time. There's no time to do anything. Like, I looked at my month of November, like, I can't even go on a date. When the hell am I going to do that? I can't even go out. I don't have a Friday or Saturday available. I take that back. I have one Saturday, but I have to be up very early the next Sunday to be at Ford Field by 8:30 in the morning. So it's like, what are you going to do on that Saturday that you don't feel like absolute death when you got to go walk out there and go talk to 65,000 people? Like, you know what I mean? It's like that, like, so when people like make the comments on the internet or they say stuff at the grocery store like, oh, you're not married? Like, oh, you got 5 jobs? When were you going to go on a date? Like, are you doing this? You doing this every night? You doing this on weekends? That's the first question I always ask the kids. Like, oh, I want to do what you do. The first question I always ask, you want to work nights and weekends and days? Like, you want to work Monday through Sunday? Because that's what it's going to take. And the minute you're not available for something, you will get Wally pipped. Like, you will be replaced. That happens. And that's why I've always kind of took the motto that you just go, you just do the job. And if you got hit by a bus tomorrow, no one gives a damn. The next person's going to come up the pipeline. They're going to fill in. And they're going to carry on with their lives. Some people hold on to it. Some people hold on to it. They want to make a big deal out of it on social media. They tweet about this. They post about that. Like, dude, it's over. Doesn't matter. We're really not that important. You forget about players. Like, think about what that's like to be a player. You're out there, you're running out of the tunnel every Sunday or every Saturday at the college level. You're the big man on campus, and then you leave, and maybe you're a college kid that doesn't go pro, and you're trying to find another job. And, the people that you work with right away, because you're coming from this university and you played football there, they have some semblance of what's going on. So you're kind of like the big man in the workplace. But then all of a sudden, a decade goes by, and it's like people forgot. How do you internalize that? How do you handle that? Or do you hold on to it and you got to tell everybody all the time how great you are? I hate that guy. That guy's the worst. Oh, you work in this business long enough, you meet a lot of those people. You got to really meet this guy. Why? What is this guy going to, if I meet this guy, then what? I touch his shoulder, a brick of gold's going to fall from underneath his trousers? Like, no. It doesn't mean I'm an arse about it. But it's just like, I mean, if I meet him, I meet him. Like, at the end of the day, like, I still got to go do my job. I got to wake up the next morning. We got to get after it. So that was my story time, and I was so aggravated last night that I missed that. Bothered me, and it's not even the event; it's the person that I let down. That's what bothers me, because she is a hell of a good coach, and a big time supporter of me. And I appreciate the hell out of her. And that is my roundabout way of getting to an apology, I guess, of some sorts. We'll see you tomorrow. I got some great Bobby Knight audio I want to play for you tomorrow here, X's and Bros, Michigan Sports Network.
Bill Simonson here for my good friend Josh Garvey. Now, he is a managing shareholder at Br0's, soon to be Doran Mayhew at the end of the year. And with the merger, there is growth and a chance for you to fill an executive or other high-level finance-related roles, either at Br0 here in downtown Grand Rapids or over at the Doran Mayhew World Headquarters in Troy or at any of their offices across the country and around the world. They have a national specialized talent pool with ideal candidates for long-term placement, ongoing support for post-placement success. So if you're looking for that next chapter in your professional career, talk to Josh Garvey and the team at Br0. Easiest way, you can call Br0, ask for Josh Garvey, or go to their website, BENEGARTR.com, or look for Br0, soon to be Doran Mayhew, on Facebook and on Twitter.
It's a happy Thanksgiving when you get everything you need in one stop at Meijer. Save big on fresh and frozen turkeys. And for all your favorite sides, Meijer's got you covered. Like fresh green beans, delicious pumpkin pies from our bakery, and your perfect pairing in our wine aisle. Get everything for easy prep, too. From crock pots to serveware and food storage. Find a great selection and all the same great deals whether you shop Meijer in-store or online. Make it a happy Thanksgiving in one easy stop at Meijer.
Imagine this, winning big at Soaring Eagle. It's the Blaze Through Fall Jeep Giveaway every Saturday in November. 2 hourly winners, 5 to 10 p.m., take home a cool $500 cash. At 11 p.m. each night, one lucky guest wins a hot new Jeep Renegade or $15 grand. The Blaze Through Fall Jeep Giveaway, only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Your getaway reimagined. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com for complete rules and details.
Roast Umber is a farm-direct coffee sourced from Central American farmers and roasted in Grand Rapids. And also the Nitro Cold Brew Coffee is a convenient and healthy option for energy with no sugar additives. Look for it at your local retailer or at roastumber.com.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Coming up later today at 3, huge opinions on everything I want to talk about. It's the Huge Show at 3 on the Michigan Sports Network.